2021 to 22, her popularity just kind of, I guess it plummeted. I don't know if you'd say that, but she really, things started to go downhill, and then she resigned 2 years later in January
Yeah,
2023. So
yeah.
what went so wrong in her second term?
Um, I think the middle New Zealand got its mojo back, and the level of kind of same thing happened to Helen Clark actually. The level of fawning sycophancy from the liberal left just started to turn even neutral people's stomachs. They were thoroughly sick of the beatification of Jacinda Ardern, and a number of issues started to rise to the fore. Freedom of speech issues. The true radical nature of that Labour administration in relation to issues of race in New Zealand started to become very, very clear. Their radical agenda on gender and sexuality issues became clear. And suddenly people started to feel very uncomfortable about the government. And she was most definitely, because of her popularity, what you identified the government as was they were inseparable. And then the internet and got onto her, and she got pretty badly trolled, even by New Zealand standards. And she could read the polling. The internal party polling was that it reached a point where her unpopularity was then having a negative impact on Labour. And as with Andrew Little, they made a calculated decision that she'd leave to improve the chances of the party. And I presume by then she had already teed up her sinecure at Harvard and had her seat on the international gravy train.
Do you think she was that it was like a sort of a decision that she made, or was it sort of one that she accepted from the party?
I am not privileged to the inner workings of the Labour Party management or caucus, but I imagine, as good old Marxists, they would have got together and had a meeting behind closed doors and come up with a strategy.
Okay,
I don't
interesting.
think anyone was going to challenge her. It's sort of like Little. Little threw himself on his own sword, and good old Marxists, it's always for the good of the party, as long as the party takes care of the good of me.
Well, I think with, I mean, I was not following New Zealand politics that closely at that time, but I think that the impression I got, and this could be totally off, is that it really kind of got to her the
Oh
negativity
no, she
personally.
said it didn't. She specifically came out and said it wasn't the trolls. I can only take her at her word.
True, true, fair point.
She said it repeatedly, despite the fact that the lefty media, oh, it's terrible. She's been hounded from office. Bullshit. And she said as much. I do know that, I've seen some pretty appalling things, and I've never bought into the I don't like Jacinda thing. I think the hatred that's shown for her is completely irrational and horribly tribal. But it was just a political calculation. Um, and they thought they had a better shot with Hitkins. But what they didn't do was listen to the people and realize it was their whole attitude on a whole range of issues that people were thoroughly sick of. And changing the front person didn't change the decline in the party's fortunes.
So if the polling was better, you think she would have stayed in
Yeah.
spite of everything? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm. It's interesting. The reason I had that idea was that her rhetoric still, from what I've seen, is a lot about feelings and about empathy, and she strikes me as quite a sensitive person in a way that other politicians may not be.
Oh, yeah. A sensitive person. He stood up at Harvard and said free speech was hate speech and declared war on freedom of speech. Oh, that's real empathetic. Said anyone who criticized her was an incel sitting in their mother's basement in a superhero uniform. Oh, incredibly kind, sharing, open, and tolerant. Wouldn't talk to media she didn't like. Incredibly kind. It was bullshit.
In my mind though, that kind of has a link because I think that the people who kind of who want to suppress speech the most are the people who kind of can't take it. A lot of them, because
Yeah.
you know, they don't want the discomfort of someone saying something critical to them. They'd prefer just that that person wouldn't be able to say that thing.
Yeah, that's right.